Bueno, amigos, qué placer. Y para nosotros es realmente un orgullo tener a Jim Langley, una leyenda. Muchas veces se usa la palabra leyenda gratuitamente, pero Jim es realmente una leyenda del mundo de los deportes de combate que va a estar este 2 de mayo en Times Square llevando la pelea, la cartelera de Ring Magazine, donde vamos a tener a Teófimo López, Ryan García, Devin Haney, y él nos va a dar un poquito de esta cartelera. Pero además es el regreso de Jim Langley a narrar, a comentar en televisión en vivo. Well, my friends, we are here. We are real legend. And I say the word legend sometimes we use it, you know, it's not fair. But with you, it's always fair, my friend Jim Langley, who is going to be in person. It's been a long time since I see you in person. Last time was December 2018, HBO Boxing, and now you're returning. What it feels to you to be May 2, Times Square, this great boxing night for you, Jim?
A great feeling. Very excited. Obviously, if you do something for 30 plus years and it goes away, not of your own volition, but because of other people's decisions and inclinations, you're going to miss it. You're going to wonder, why did that go away in my life? I don't have any, sacred endowed universal right to be calling boxing matches. Everybody's entitled to choose the people they want to do that. But so I've been away from ringside for 6 years, and now because of new organization, TKO, because of a very interesting and dynamic entrepreneur, Turki Alalshikh, I am going back to ringside to call fights again, and I'm extremely excited about that. And now, now it's like it's always been: do the work, be prepared, be as informed and knowledgeable as I can possibly be, and call the fights from that perspective.
Do you miss it a lot? It was hard for you to be far away from the ring.
Look, I was old enough and had spent enough years in network television that when I suddenly looked around and realized, HBO no longer really exists. There's a new organization now, and they don't want to do boxing, and therefore I'm not going to ringside for HBO anymore. I had to realize that it was entirely possible that was the end of my arc. So I didn't want to, be too upset, bereft, terminally sad about it. But yeah, it left a hole in my life, and I am far happier with the idea that I am going back to ringside to call fights than I was with the reality that I wasn't calling fights.
When Turki Alalshikh publicly demand for you, when publicly he say, "My brother, my friend, I want you to be at my night commenting the fights in person." When you read that, what happened to you?
I was at ringside for David Morrell versus David Benavidez. I was working for TV. Excuse me. I was working for PPV.com, the wonderful new organization created by a brilliant entrepreneur named Dale Hopkins. I was having fun. I was rubbing shoulders with boxing types. I was back in the media room. I was back with the fighters. That had been going on for more than a year. So I had plenty to do, and I was at ringside. And somebody brings me, I'm not a social media person. I'm not on X. And somebody brought me a cell phone and showed me, said, "Look at this that's on X." And it was Turki's post in which he said, he posted a picture of me and he said, "I want Jim Lampley to come back to ringside and call fights." And I thought, well, that's interesting. That's really fascinating that he would reach out in that particular way. Now, let's see what it means. And what it meant was that he was quite sincere, and he was very interested in talking to me about coming back to ringside to do blow by blow. And we had a face-to-face meeting in New York a few weeks ago, at which we, sussed it all out and agreed to go forward. And here I am. So I owe my return to the boxing world to two different entrepreneurs. One of them, the woman Dale Hopkins, who created ppv.com, and that got me back going to fights and into the media room and talking to fighters. And then Turki Alalshikh, who put that post out on X, who eventually reached out to me personally through his emissaries, who invited me to meet with him in New York. And it's all been great. I am very grateful to everybody who has helped pave the way for me to come back to ringside commentary.
Let's talk about, for a brief time, about the night. It's a very stacked card. We have Teófimo López, we have Devin Haney, we have Ryan Garcia. What can we expect? What are you feeling as an expert of this night of boxing?
Well, the majority of boxing cards are built around one star fighter, and you call it the main event. This card truly has three main events because each one of those guys is a name fighter, and they all have at this moment interesting careers. And of course, a part of what people are expecting is that if both Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia win their fights, then we're headed back toward a resolution rematch between Haney and Garcia. And by resolution, I mean a chance to wipe away the stain of a failed drug test and the controversy that attached to a situation in which Garcia was able to knock Haney down 3 times and then eventually called all that into question by failing the drug test delivered by VADA and the New York State Athletic Commission. So those two fights go hand in hand in creating a future path scenario. And then, of course, Teófimo López made a tremendous splash a couple of years ago when he beat Vasily Lomachenko in what was regarded as a major upset and vaulted López to the top of a lot of people's estimations about what was happening in the 135-pound weight class. Now we're farther up the scale and going farther up the scale in eventually a path that seems to lead toward 147. And this will be a look at López, where he is now, how close he is to being back to the form that he exhibited before an unexpected loss to George Kambosos. And I think everybody who's in Times Square should be feeling privileged to have a chance to watch all 3 of these fights and the surrounding undercard in those circumstances. Some of the most unusual and memorable things that have ever happened in American prize fights happened when the fights were held outdoors. Going back to the very first heavyweight championship fight in 1891 between John L. Sullivan and Jake Kilrain, which took place in a swamp in Mississippi, and going through a lot of other things that have happened in outdoor fights, including Jack Johnson being knocked out by Jess Willard in Havana, lying on the canvas, shielding his eyes from the sun, and straightforward from there to July 4, 1919, when Dempsey destroyed Jess Willard in Toledo, Ohio in 90-plus degree heat. All these things are fascinating, up to including the last outdoor fight that I think I called. Well, no, it wasn't the last outdoor fight, but the fight in Yankee Stadium between Yuri Foreman and Miguel Cotto, in which the Foreman corner threw the towel into the ring in the time-honored traditional sign of surrender in boxing, and Arthur McCanty Jr. picked the towel up and threw it back out of the ring, to prompting us at ringside to say, what in the world is he doing? And eventually we got that straightened out. But the bottom line is we're outdoors, and unusual things happen when we're outdoors, and you're going to have a large crowd of people in Times Square. It's an amazing setup for the event. It's an interesting piece of drama, and all credit to Turki Alalshikh, I should say, for making it happen.
Well, thank Turki Alalshikh for we fans and big writers to have you back near the ring, commenting in person for everyone in the world to see. Thank you, Gene Langley, for this minute, and I hope that you have the best night of your life.
Thank you as always. I've enjoyed being with you and looking forward to the night of May 2.
Thank you so much.